Define it for me. What is the mechanism that is malfunctioning or is taking a break in your brain? Do you know?
I wouldn't be able to explain that as much, just because I'm not a doctor. I can just tell you what I'm feeling at the time, and I feel a heightened connection with the universe when I'm ramping up. It is a health issue. This is like a sprained brain, like having a sprained ankle. And if someone has a sprained ankle, you're not gonna push on him more.
Right.
With us, once our brain gets to a point of spraining, people do everything to make it worse.
And that was Kanye West on David Letterman's Netflix show. While I think it's really cool that he's using his celebrity to talk about something like bipolar disorder, I think he really needs to think about his words a little bit better. Man, sprained brain. And then he likened it to a sprained ankle. It kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it sounds so ridiculous that it takes away any of the sense that it might have made, I guess. I don't know. God, I'm trying not to laugh, but this guy, he's already established himself as a clown, so it's hard to take anything that he has to say seriously. But I want to, because he is deserved of any attention to his own mental well-being and mental illness as anyone else. But like I said, you can't help but laugh at the guy sometimes when he says just the dumbest stuff. I don't think that it's like a sprained brain. I don't know. I haven't been told I have bipolar disorder. And since starting this show, I have realized that I don't think that I do. I don't think that when I get really excited and go kind of nuts, I don't think that it's really a mania. It's very temporary. It's not an all-day thing. When I say temporary, I mean like 15 minutes. Like I get excited because I'm saying something that's making somebody laugh and I keep going with it. Whereas if I'm sad, then it could last a couple of days. I've had it last, weeks. I haven't been told that I'm bipolar, so I don't know for sure that it doesn't feel like a sprained brain or a sprained ankle. But I do think he should choose his analogies a little bit better. I think that especially if he's going to use his celebrity to bring awareness to something as important as this, he should not sound like an idiot. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Either way, that that made me feel happy today. I don't know why something like that would make me feel happy. I guess just because I'm laughing at it, so it's a fun thing to laugh at. So I'm riding that wave of happiness. One thing I will say that I think has put me in a happier spot too is over the past week I've reconnected with some old friends, and it's really cool. It's really nice. These are people that I knew for years and years, and then we all just kind of fell off each other's radar for years and years. So it's nice. And I think this podcast is to thank for that. So thank you, podcast. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I probably sound very happy in my tone and my demeanor. I only had a few bumps of sadness, I guess, this week. But I try my best not to talk about me. I don't really want to talk about me. Like, I'll talk about how I grew up, some of my issues that I've had, but I don't want to make this a blog. I don't want to make it to where I'm like, hey, this is what happened to me this week. But maybe I can't help it. It's tough when you're recording this thing alone. But I like it. I like it. This has been very good so far. I'm very proud of what me and the people that I've talked to have done so far. Very proud. If you haven't had a chance yet, I don't know if anybody is listening to these in order. You don't have to. I don't really do any kind of callbacks to any previous episode. There isn't so much of an ongoing serial, anything like that. If there is, then I will definitely make a point. I'll say, this episode is part 1 of something. But so far, nothing. So if the title grabs you, then give it a listen. Of course, the first episode is gonna be the roughest. I kind of did a trial by fire and just kind of threw myself in there and did it. And I think I'm getting better. Last week was the most prep work I've done for an episode yet. I worked for hours all week compiling notes and writing the script out and just finding stuff, bits, and watching a few hours worth of trial videos. So I'm really happy with that episode. I like that episode. I don't like what it's about, but if you are interested, I would highly suggest checking that one out. I don't care either way if he is found guilty or if he's found insane. It doesn't matter. I think I mentioned this in the last episode. It just doesn't matter what the outcome of the trial is. Those kids are still dead. Society failed them. It's important that we talk about mental illness. It's important that we discuss it, that we don't feel ashamed if we are afflicted by it, that we don't feel embarrassed because we have any kind of mental disorder. Embrace it. It's part of who you are. If you embrace it and you talk about it, then it's going to get better. Because even if it's something that isn't curable, it isn't something that can be fixed, it's something that can be helped with talking, with speaking to others that are going through like-minded situations. Like I said, it's not a permanent solution, but it's something that can help. And the more we talk about it, the more we can help other people, help each other. And then people don't have to hurt themselves. Because that's the main thing, is we don't want people hurting themselves. Even if you think it makes you feel better. If you're a cutter, that's heavy, man. Like, I've been through some shit, but I can't imagine doing that. Like, and I'm not passing judgment by any means, I swear to you. It's just, it's so unfathomable to me. I have a hard time processing it. Like, you're going to sit there and cut yourself or burn yourself or whatever. It just, man, that's hardcore. It's tough. And, and what sucks too is that's not, and I'm not making a joke here. That's not a group activity. That's something you do by yourself in silence. That makes me sad because these are people that swear they don't have anybody to talk to, I guess. These are people that are just suffering alone. And that's horrible. That is absolutely horrible that they're so depressed that they feel the need to cut themselves, and it makes them feel better. Today's guest is somebody that I admittedly don't know very well. We were in the same Facebook group, so whenever there were meetups and get-togethers, we talked then, but it was generally about the stuff that the group was about. So it was never any personal level. You could tell he was a good guy, so there was there's no danger there. I'm not worried. Otherwise, I wouldn't invite him over to my house. But it's interesting to talk to almost a complete stranger. And it's kind of stressful too because you don't know what to ask. So you have to allow them to really lead the conversation. And while it might not be the longest episode or anything like that, I believe that he brought some good information to the table. And it's definitely something that is probably overlooked. And like me, where somebody may be affected by panic attacks and think it's normal and think, oh my God, this is how I feel sometimes. So I appreciate him talking about his own anxiety attacks, panic attacks, so that, people that are listening, maybe they have them, maybe they think it's normal. And he's bringing it to light that it's not, that it can be helped, medicated, talked through, that kind of thing. So, here we go. This is one thing I noticed yesterday that I do. I don't know how to say it properly. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you dealing with?
What am I dealing with? That's a good question. A lot, growing up, I did not have an anxiety. I probably didn't even know what the word was. It wasn't until probably about roughly 8-9 years ago. I was at my apartment at the time, half asleep, actually dead asleep. And I woke up in the middle of the night and just heart started racing and everything. I thought I was having a heart attack. And next thing I know, I'm calling up a friend instead of going to the hospital. It's like, hey, can I come over and hang out? And she's like, sure. So in the middle of the night, drove over to her place. We played video games and, heart finally went back into normal rate again. I thought that was weird. And
was
so
it a panic attack?
It was a panic attack.
Oh,
I never
okay.
had one before, okay. But take that back a little bit. It was like maybe that weekend, me and some friends, had a drink fest. And, I think alcohol, if you do too much of it, eventually your body's going to say, hey, dude, stop this. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what happened. And nobody could tell me that. And so being an analytical person, you're always trying to figure stuff out. And that was, nobody could tell me. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's this. And it just kept on building and building and building. Mm-hmm. Well, then I decided to go back to school and get my degree. And so you add the added, working, 40 to 50 hours a week, going to school for about 20 to 30 hours. And just constantly doing homework and stressing out, with family members and just, it just seemed overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And at the time I just thought, well, maybe there's just something bodily wrong. And then I realized, it's like, hold on a second, when I'm really stressed and I'm going through a stress moment and I can't, de-stress from it, I get sick.
Like what kind of sick? Just
anxiety.
Okay.
Like, in the middle of the night, you'll just be like, oh my God, and then, you can catch yourself saying a couple phrases, and then when you start, hearing the same phrases over and over, and then you're thinking, oh, it's just this anxiety attack. Okay, I'll be fine. So it just common everyday things that everybody deals with. I think if you constantly deal with it for over a certain amount of time, your body says, I can't do this anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just where it is. So I think if you have to sum it up, it's not general anxiety disorder. I think it's just a stressful situation that triggers it.
Okay.
So
then that causes the panic attacks.
Yes.
And it's not like you don't have an issue with, like, say, going to one of the meetups.
No, not at all.
That's nothing for you.
No. Going to meetup, public places, nothing. It's not. There's no fear to it. It's just if I'm at work or, somebody has a health problem. It's a family member. If you're dealing with it, and there's just no, hey, I'm going to take a day off just to go to a lake or something to kind of de-stress. Mm-hmm. If you're constantly dealing with that, your body's just explodes. It comes out regardless.
It's good. It's just everything starts crumbling down,
and then you just have your panic attack, and then you're probably going through it for roughly 6 to 12 hours, and then you'll be fine for a couple weeks, and then that starts triggering again. And instead of, feeling that first sign and going, okay, you know what, I can't deal with you right now. Let me take a break and then let's go at it again. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, can't tell your job that.
I need to step outside. Yeah, but you can take a smoke break.
Yeah, I used to smoke, and
how long you quit?
8 years now.
Hey,
Yeah,
right here too.
yeah,
I think 8 or 9.
yeah.
Like
it was like until cigarettes started being like $7 a pack. It was like, man, you're smoking a pack a day. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I think it was towards the end. I was just buying them if I found them, like the buy one get one or the buy two get one,
right?
Stuff like that. Like if I was getting free cigarettes, and
right.
I could rationalize it to myself.
Yeah.
But
See, I couldn't do that because it was just like, man, if I have 3 packs of cigarettes, I got to smoke all 3. That defeats the purpose.
Yeah. And it's like you go to the cheaper brands and you're like, this isn't enjoyable for me.
Right.
Like I don't want to smoke basic. I'm not a 6th grader.
Right.
So, but so the panic attacks and the anxiety, that's your
that's my main issue, and I have family history of heart issues, and so I'm always thinking to myself, going, okay, you know what? I know I've had a dad that had a heart attack, in his early 60s. I know I've had, brothers have had heart attacks in their 50s, and I'm different than them. Like my father, he just had a blood clot in his leg, shot up. That can happen to anybody. Okay, so that's not hereditary. But my brothers, they smoke and they drink and they didn't take care of themselves, when they were younger. And unfortunately, as time evolves, they had the heart attack. And so, and I have to rationalize myself. Okay, look, I'm very healthy. I work out, I, eat right, and I'm constantly, worrying about my health for no reason. So I'm working on that health anxiety issue as well, too.
Yeah, that seems like super counterproductive because you're doing everything you can to keep yourself healthy,
right? And you're still like,
right. Your brain is sitting here telling you. That's a funny thing, or not a funny thing, but that's something that I'm trying to figure out. I know I can't, but it's just your own brain trying to sabotage you.
Right.
It's insanity.
Right.
It's absolute insanity.
It could be like, if your boss tells you, hey, if you get this certification, we'll move you here. Okay. And then you start thinking in your head, like, well, that is a lot of work to get that. I don't know if I really want to deal with that. Or you have Mr. Go-Getter, it's like, okay, all right, let's do this. He's probably never had a problem wrong health-wise or anything else in his whole life. So I think once you start experiencing stuff, then your mind is like, okay, hey, you remember the last time that this happened? Then you start thinking.
So it just goes to it's not so much self-sabotage as it is the recall of your failures.
Yes, exactly. And not wanting to repeat, because who wants to repeat a mistake?
Right. Wow. Okay. See, that's another thing that I like about doing this podcast is the various perspectives, because everybody has a different one.
Right. And that's why I told you, I will confront this, because how are you going to get over it?
Yeah.
If you hide, if you have nobody to go to, then you're never going to get yourself better.
Right.
You've got to take that first step.
Totally agree. Okay. Well, is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Well, there was, not winning the lottery.
Oh, well, I think we can all deal with that.
All right.
Let's see, let me look at my notes real quick.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have much.
If there's anything, we can figure out how to help other people out there, that's what I'm here for.
I think that's one of the reasons that I'm trying to get a wide range of people to come and talk, because while no two people are the same,
right,
they could have like-minded problems. Somebody could be going through something that they think they're totally alone in,
right,
and if they hear somebody else talking about it, then
and I think a lot of people that do have anxiety issues and everything, and they feel trapped, it's because like the name of this group, trouble understanding, right? It's not trouble understanding with yourself, it's getting other people to understand, because we live in a society where if you've never experienced something, you're not going to be able to comprehend or help somebody else out.
Right.
And I think that's where you're seeing a divided, structure now between people who have the anxiety and people who don't, because the other people are like, well, life's fine. What are you worried about?
Yeah.
You know, the other people are like, well, there's this and this. Well, that's not your, you know, you hear constantly, well, that's not under your control. So why are you worrying about it? Because if it does happen, now you are unemployed and you have no money, or you have no place to live.
There's a whole different set
Right.
of problems that
Right.
we have to deal with because this happened.
So that brings up another question. The more analytical are you, does that just bring on anxiety? Because
I think it depends on your frame of mind with how you're what you're questioning. If you're questioning something like, well, okay, if I get on this plane, if I see a baby, then obviously this plane isn't going to crash because there's a baby on board. But there's still engine failure, and engines don't care about babies. So, and what if the pilot's drunk? And just all these different things.
Yeah, I've seen people go down that route.
Yeah, and then there's also, you can be completely positive.
Right.
So, I mean, it just depends on the mindset, I would think.
And that's what I see as well, too. I mean, you see the people that don't really have any struggles in life. You know, they're doing great for themselves, whether it's financially, emotionally, or, no stress at all, versus the people that, have had problems from childhood. And it's just, I think if everybody felt like they could have somebody to go to constant without worrying about, well, this person just yelled at me last time I went to them. The people that need help can get the help.
Yeah.
And
that's another thing too. It's funny you bring that, just saying somebody, like you looking at somebody that doesn't have care in the world.
Right.
They've got money. They're set. They're good on life. Everything appears normal, but we don't know what they're struggling with though.
Right.
They could be.
Oh yeah, I think everybody struggles with something, whether they want to admit it or not.
And that's one of the big things. Like you said, it's nobody wants to admit it. Not nobody, but a lot of people don't want to admit it.
Right, they're afraid. They're afraid of being judged. Exactly.
That is brought to you by Stereo.
Yes.
But yeah, and that's what's sad too, is that because as far as I go, like whenever I realized what was going on with me wasn't normal, I had no issue talking about it. I have no issue talking to people about it because I guess I went so long thinking it was normal. There's nothing to be ashamed about. Right. I wasn't shamed as a kid. Like, you are this way. You should be ashamed. You don't tell anybody about this.
Right.
I didn't have to deal with that. I got told, I was a piece of shit, or
Right.
I'm no good. I'm not going to amount to anything. But
quit being lazy.
Yeah. Stop being lazy. Why are you playing those video games? Why don't you go fishing and kill an animal? Or
hey, that lawn's getting kind of tall there. Can you mow that lawn?
Let me show you how to beat a woman. What? It's just all these things. But one of the things was I wasn't ever shamed with it. And I don't think it was for lack of trying. It was just because it was normal in my family life. So I think that the big positive to that was that I'm very open with it. So I also have a hard time. I have trouble understanding why people would have a hard time talking about it. Some people are, because like with the girl I talked to yesterday, her parents shamed her for, having these problems, these mental issues and everything. And they told her, you don't tell anybody. You don't tell anybody at all. And you just go with it and you'll get over it.
Right. Guess what? It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. And so, so that's one of the things that that I want to do too with this, is try to make it okay to talk about.
Right.
I
mean, we don't live in a society as we, evolve. I mean, from here on out, it's going to happen more and more. I mean, we hear it all the time in the news now. This celebrity just went through this, or, if you look at how the media is focused on stuff, hell, I even bring up the word suicide. There's a lot of people out there, that hear the word, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that this person did. Well, you don't exactly know what that person went through.
Yeah.
There's probably a chance that person was trying to call out for help, but nobody really cared.
Or nobody even noticed, because we're such a self-involved society.
Right.
So.
Yeah, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
You know?
And that's why I find it so sad when comedians commit suicide.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, you're just like, man, that person was so funny. But then you start thinking, it's like, wait, is the funnier you are, then the more you're really going through?
Yeah.
You know, you're just trying to mirror that, that pain away from something.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was the weird thing with Robin Williams too.
Oh yeah, that was
like all the headlines. He was depressed, and all this
right.
stuff. And there's a couple of podcasts that I listened to where Bobcat Goldthwait, who was a close friend of his, was talking, and it wasn't depression at all that led to that. He had this rare disease. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Right.
Yeah, that you can't even detect until you're doing an autopsy.
Right.
But that doesn't come out in the news.
No. Did you hear it's just the word suicide, and then again, that's just a trigger for other people to either go down that path or freak out about it and brush it under the rug.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
Right.
So, ugh.
Yeah, I think the media causes a lot of this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I know it's like really well intentioned too, but I think that pushing people to suicide or pushing suicide hotlines is just a weird thing to me.
It is.
Because it's like, if you've ever understood the mentality that you go through with that, then you know that you're not going to look to reach out to anybody.
No.
You don't want to. If you are, then that's a cry for help. That's as simple as that. Mm-hmm. And you're definitely not going to pick up a phone and dial a number to talk to a stranger.
Right, in the middle of the night.
Yeah, because if you've decided you're going to commit suicide, you're going to do it. So that's why I think they're bullshit. I think they're well-intentioned bullshit. I think that a lot of the people that push them have their hearts in the right place. But it's not enough.
No. Instead of spending stupid money on these researchers, why not try to actually figure out what's going on with the brain?
Yeah.
What's causing this?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because humans are dealing with so much more stress now and to a different certain type of level? And do something about it.
And then there's also, and this might just be conspiracy theory talking, but it's, big pharmacy wanting to make money. So why would they cure any of this?
Right. There's a lot of, pills being pushed, to treat this instead of actually talking with somebody and saying, hey, well, what were you like before this all happened? Can you actually sit there and think about what? I was like, well, yeah, my parents died when I was 7, and then you're like, oh, well, this person never really got through this. Mm-hmm. Let's figure this out. And then chances are, as long as the, person doesn't have like an actual brain problem, then they'll be able to, get over it.
Yeah, they can move past it.
Right.
And I mean, yeah, that makes sense. So, but then, there's the people that need the balance.
Right, yeah, because, like I said, there's some cases where, it's just that the brain doesn't have, serotonin levels, and then for some weird reason. We're not all, perfect people.
I don't know how to respond to that. I liked where we went, though. That was good talking.
Good. Well, the only message I want for anybody out there that is going through it, you're not alone. The people that you wouldn't think have any type of anxiety issues probably are the ones that really do. So always feel free to reach out to somebody. There's going to be somebody that cares. Just always remember that.
Definitely. I think that's a big thing with me is even if I detect the slightest hint of anything going on with somebody, they don't seem like their normal self. Are you okay? Right. It's so easy.
Right. And guess what? That person's going to go, wow, someone actually cares.
Yeah. Somebody wants to know.
Right.
So now, it's up to them if they're going to go, well, is this person going to judge me, or are they going to help me, or do I even want to? Am I worth it?
Right. And seeing that
it's
goes
a whole nother
through
spider
that
web.
Whole, right.
So, but yeah, I approve your message.
Thank you.
So, cool. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Hey, if you ever need anything, you know how to reach me.
All right. On the internet.
Yes.